Hello, welcome to this webinar. This is part of the Integrated Skills Wider Waste webinar series, where we look at upcoming policy and things that we think are going to have an impact to those of you who work in the waste industry, mainly in local authorities, but not only local authority projects. But today we're taking a slightly different direction, as I think we've kind of previewed in some of my emails. Today we're going to look specifically at a new product that we're bringing out called SmartSuite. We think it's obviously going to be of importance to the wider waste world, but today we're going to sort of put behind us one of our principles, which is we kind of tend not to focus on our sales type activity on the webinar, but today we think it would be really nice just to actually focus purely on SmartSuite, what it is, and how we arrived at it. So thanks very much for joining us. We really appreciate you putting the time in. I'm joined by my colleague here, Nathan Birch. Hi, Nathan.
Hello.
So Nathan has been involved in very much from the beginning of this development, and he's done much of the testing, and he'll be involved in the implementation of SmartSuite with clients. So kind of Nathan does know the software pretty much in and out. So we'll be hearing from Nathan in a second. What I wanted to do to start is just for those of you who are not that familiar, is introduce ourselves. So this is Nathan. He's our product consultant. He's been working with us for a number of years in supporting in-cab and back office systems, both in the UK and the US. This is myself. I'm the Business Development Director at Integrated Skills. I've worked many more years in waste management than I probably ought to admit, but 15 years in consultancy, but prior to that, many years in local authority waste, managing environmental services. Today, we want to touch on a few things. So we want to talk a little bit about who we are, for those of you who've not come across us before, Integrated Skills, what we do, and where we come from. Then we wanted to look at SmartSuite in some detail, in-cab and back office. And then I'm going to hand over to Nathan, and Nathan and I are going to have a little bit of a conversation about SmartSuite, and Nathan's going to take us through a live demo. And then it's really over to yourselves to ask us any questions, and we'll provide the answers if we can. So that's really the agenda for today. I hope that's what the agenda that you expected. And this is the right webinar you've arrived on. A little bit about Integrated Skills. Our thing is software solutions and consultancy. We very much started our business doing route optimization and early navigation and software systems. We are pretty interested in GIS. I think GIS is one of our sort of main themes. We really enjoy and like the power of GIS systems, and you'll see the impact of that throughout today, but on all the work we do. We're also involved in environmental management. We do waste composition analysis, and we also look at planning and permitting for waste management solutions. The company itself has been going a number of years now, 30 years this year. We've been based in the UK, but we have both public and private sector clients across both environmental services, but also we work in the logistics and utilities and parcels and postal services areas. Our services are provided, it sounds quite huge this, but it's true that we work in more than 70 countries and have worked in more than 70 countries worldwide. And one of the things that is topical for us is in 2021 we became an employee-owned company, and both Nathan and I are involved in the employee ownership forum, and that's really quite an interesting departure for us. But I think it brings a sort of an added interest into the way that we work with clients, particularly in the way that we support clients. But more of that in a little while. Linked to the fact that we're now employee owned, it's important that we kind of share our values, what we think we're good at, what we think are important to us. You know, if you were to work with us, these are the kind of values that we think are important in any projects too. So we like to be professional. We think we provide high quality services and solutions. We like to innovate. It's fun innovating. and we like to do interesting work, as I'm sure you do. We like to be open, create an open, safe working environment across the company. It's a very flat structure across integrated skills and no blame, a very supportive culture, and we feel that that's the best way of actually coming up with creative ideas across the company. We try and encourage positive work-life balance in all our teams and staff, and we love collaborative team working, and some of you on the call may have been involved in our local authority focus group, which we brought together to actually come up with some of the ideas and have been helpfully sort of steering us along the path for the development of SmartSuite. So we're very keen on working together with both ourselves, each other, and with our clients. And we like to encourage new ideas. A little bit about our clients, just to give you a flavour. Internationally, we've worked with over 20 central government departments, different countries. We've worked with a number of private sector clients overseas. We've worked for a number of the banks, the European Commission, European Investment Bank, United Nations Development Programme, the World Bank, the International Finance Corporation, and the Asian Development Bank. In the UK, we have over 100 local authority clients who are either using our software or have purchased our consultancy services in the past. Again, on our client list in the UK, we've worked for the Treasury, DEFRA, the Ministry of Defence, the Environment Agency, RAP, Zero Waste Scotland, and a number of the private sector clients that you actually see listed here. A little bit about the work we've done in the UK, and you know, from time to time we kind of look at who we've been working for and review what that means and what that means for our company. But we noticed you know, a little while ago that actually of the 10 major UK cities, 8 of those used Route Smart, which is our route optimization software, which is kind of interesting. Route Smart is also used by major national utilities, and in terms of where it's used, in what business areas, it's used in both, you know, waste management, street cleansing, winter maintenance, gully cleansing, and beyond that. And we are currently building a list of all of those projects that we've worked on with clients and that clients have used our software for. And I think we're over 35 different projects, different areas where our software has been used. A little bit of history. We started developing in-cab and back office software probably around 12 years ago. And we've now got over 20 UK and US local authorities using those in-cab and back office services, and around about 1,000 devices being used per day in vehicles. I wanted to talk a little bit about SmartSuite, because SmartSuite in a way takes over from Navigator and Fusion and the work we've been doing over the past 12 years. So we've been learning our lessons from what we've been doing over that period of time. But we made the decision a few years ago to actually embark on the development of SmartSuite, this next generation in-cab solution. And that solution is now live, and we have our first clients using SmartSuite. My next slide is really just talking, I wanted just to share a little bit about why develop SmartSuite when we had what was a reasonably serviceable in-cab and back office system available, and you know, many of you are still using that and hopefully appreciating its functionality. But I think it was in 2019 that we as a management team sat down and we thought we really need to start thinking about the next generation solution to actually go beyond where Navigator and Fusion have got us. And I've listed here a number of those thoughts at the time. Why did we want to develop the next generation solution, SmartSuite? The first reason was I think we wanted to future-proof our solution. So we were aware that with Navigator Fusion, it's very good at what it does, but actually it's limited in the kind of the ability to scale that up and to add additional functionality and integrations. So we wanted to build in some future resilience, and we therefore created an architecture around which SmartSuite was built, that actually we could add new functionality and effectively new modules and requirements would be expected to be added. So we've kind of built it in that way that it can be expanded as we go. And you'll see when we're looking at our future development roadmap what I mean by that. We also mentioned earlier on that we enjoy doing innovative stuff, innovative thinking, providing innovative ideas and software, and we really do want to maintain that technical edge, that sort of innovation. And looking around at our competitors, we're aware that some of the features that were previously incorporated into Navigator Fusion have now been incorporated into other people's softwares, and so we kind of wanted to take an extra step and maintain that, if you like, that technical edge over our competitors. And so we, for example, we've moved to Android, and we use all the latest Android platform and UI UX, which I'll ask Nathan to show you around in a moment. As software for waste management develops, we're aware that there's a number of third-party solutions that actually provide really important services for yourselves operating local authority waste. So things like 360 cameras, weighbridge systems, payments, and other third-party technologies like residents apps, and we wanted to be able to integrate those. Now, how we could either develop all of those ourselves, which would be a waste of our effort, and it certainly wouldn't be as good as going to those people who are really specialist in each of those particular areas. So we wanted to provide a single, if you like, unified view of operations where we could provide access to those integrations. And so that's really where we're going with SmartSuite. It's going to be that single unified view where you can actually look at the day-to-day operations, but you can also access your provider of 360 cameras, or look at weighbridge information, take customers through to payments, and et cetera. And the fourth reason that we went along this idea of developing SmartSuite was, I think our experience over the last 12 years is very much about the importance of engaging with the users, engaging with the operators, engaging with drivers. And we realized that actually, if we're not engaging with drivers with the software, then the software is not working correctly. We think it's so important that actually drivers see the solution that we're providing, SmartSuite, as an advantage and a benefit. So we wanted to simplify the driver interaction. So as we see that there are so many demands on drivers, we wanted to sort of strip back on where we could on driver interaction, but at the same way increase the intelligence of the in-cab devices. So the in-cab devices would actually hold all the relevant data and have that data accessible, and allow drivers to actually access some really useful, helpful data at the time that's appropriate for them to actually do that. So yeah, we wanted to simplify the software, and the kind of if you like, a motto is, simple to use, but actually with state-of-the-art functionality under the bonnet that could be configured or can be accessed by drivers. And I suppose the final point is seeing the trends within waste management and local government waste management. In a nutshell, as residents, we expect to be able to order a package on Amazon and know exactly when it's going to be delivered, who's going to be delivering it, and and confirm when it's been delivered. So why ever would you not expect to be able to find out why your wheel bin wasn't collected today? So it's in response to that increasing public demand for service quality that we've kind of built. We're building on that service point-based service history so that we can make all of that data available, help with customer interactions as people are ringing the authority or contacting the authority to find out what exactly is happening with their service. We want to make all of that rich data available for them to actually find out, either whether that's through a CRM team or whether that's direct on the web. So my next slide is entitled SmartSuite Explained in 125 seconds, and I can guarantee that it will be in 125 seconds because our new explainer video is that length. So please sit back and relax and enjoy our explainer video.
Waste and recycling operation to be more efficient. Do you want your waste and recycling operation to be more efficient? Could it run more effectively? Do you have all the information you need at your fingertips? With SmartSuite, you can achieve all this and more. ISL has made the management of local authority environmental service operations so much easier. Our map-based SmartSuite software gives local authorities an end-to-end solution to manage everyday tasks. From handling a missed bin query, reallocating incomplete routes from a broken-down RCV, processing a contaminated bin report, or knowing when brushes are up or down on a cleansing vehicle, to accessing collection calendars online, providing ward-level data to a councillor, monitoring public participation in your services, or processing payment for a subscription service. SmartSuite takes care of it all. Developed with direct input from waste and recycling crews, managers and directors from across the UK, we've combined mobile apps for crews and mobile teams, a secure cloud platform with the easiest UI to navigate, and a range of APIs to exchange vital data with third-party systems, including CRM, telematics, finance, weighbridge and more. Modules include jobs management, trade waste and in-cab, containing all the functionality required for a modern, efficient waste and recycling, street cleansing and gully emptying service. We even have winter maintenance covered too. SmartSuite delivers what your teams need to complete their work while helping to improve customer satisfaction. For maximum impact and efficiency with minimum effort, the only choice is SmartSuite.
Thank you. That's our explainer video. We're very happy to send you a copy of that if you wanted to watch that again, watch it in your own leisure. So that's our explainer video, which really pulls together all of SmartSuite. And today we're going to actually look at some of SmartSuite, not all of that, but some of it, I think, in a little bit of detail. Here, I wanted just to touch on the overview of how RouteSmart fits together with SmartSuite and some of the modules that are available and some of the integrations that will be coming along over the next months. So let me start by building that from scratch. And as many of you know, the starting point for us is actually optimized routes. That's where we think that the best starting point is for this kind of project. Now, I've mentioned RouteSmart here, but just to flag that many of you will actually be aware that ArcGIS is actually, the desktop version is actually reaching the end of its life in 2026, and we are busy with RouteSmart technologies, actually looking at the replacement for that. And there are a number of options, and so RouteSmart will very much be in the center of whatever it is that we're doing over the next sort of 24 months. But that could be a RouteSmart for ArcGIS Pro. It could be RouteSmart Online, and almost certainly will involve RAS, routing as a service. So routing and route optimization will be very much at the center of what we're proposing here. But then linked to SmartSuite, so our in-cab and back office solution for wastes and street cleansing. We also have a SmartSuite trade waste module, I'll be mentioning later, and SmartSuite jobs management, which Nathan will be giving you a quick preview of in the demo that we're doing today. I've already referred to it, but just to sort of reiterate the importance for us of seeing SmartSuite as this single platform where you can actually look into seeing the integrations with other solutions via our integrations API, and I'm listing some of them there. We've already talked about links to the CRM, but also links to reporting software such as Power BI, the ability to actually integrate with vehicle telematics, 360 cameras, finance systems, weighbridge systems, public apps, and ... more to follow. And just to say that when we were thinking about the development of SmartSuite, data security is obviously becoming more and more important, and we thought probably the best way to solve that kind of at one stroke would be to move to the Microsoft Azure platform. Microsoft Azure in the cloud is built on the government's 14 pillars of data security. And in an article I was reading recently, Microsoft Azure claims to remove around about 70% of the data security headaches and worries for local authorities. So we're building that on the Microsoft Azure platform. With health and safety in mind, obviously another important aspect here. Considering the health and safety aspects of running an in-cab device, so making sure that by using the device, we're actually making that as simple as possible, but importantly taking out lots and lots of sort of manual operations, lots of checking, lots of ringing around, lots of conversations in the cab, but actually seeing that we can take away loads of those issues and problems by, as you'll see in a minute, with SmartSuite, where it's actually prompting you with the right information, it's actually speaking out important health and safety information that you need to hear as you're driving the routes. And then just to reiterate the fact that because it's built on RouteSmart, we're also bringing in those route risk assessments and those health and safety considerations into the routes that are going to be driven within the vehicle. So we're really, it's important that we're thinking about health and safety and how compliant we are. One thing that's very important for us as a company is training, mentoring and support. Particularly since we've become an employee-owned company, we kind of refuse to be out supported by any of our competitors. We hope that it's one of those things that you find that we do very well. We like to think we do, and please get in touch with me if you don't think we do, and we'll do something about it. But yeah, we propose that we would have a very good training, mentoring and support package that sits around implementation of a SmartSuite project. And then finally, just to say that we're actually building this on the Android platform. One of the considerations that we discussed with the local authority focus group, who we met with actually at the beginning of 2020 to start this project running, was cost, and the cost of tablets was an important consideration, and obviously the cost of Android tablets are readily available, and we like to think we've got one that we feel fits our sort of quality tests, but also is probably around about a third of the price of an equivalent Windows tablet. So we're building that on the Android platform. There we are as a summary of those, and then really just a thought about where we go from here. So just to bring us up to date, we have, as I say, we have SmartSuite now with clients, and but we're not resting there. We see that there is more work to do. There are more integrations. There's more functionality that we're building. We're continuing to build for another couple of years yet. Here you'll see a whole range of different pieces of functionality that we've ordered in this roadmap. And the message really is, if you see something on here that's in the distance and you would like to get involved with us with SmartSuite and bring that forward, then we're very willing to actually do this. The ordering of this, if you like, the timeline is very much based on if we have no one actually asking us to do anything in a different timing. So just to bring you up to date, Q4 of this year, we're going to be concentrating on the automations. The automations being the kind of if-then type commands when, so if we have a driver reports, the one I like to use, for example, is if a driver reports that there are overhanging branches on a particular street and they can't get access, then once that report is received, then the automation would be to send a message through to the grounds maintenance team to actually go out and remove the limbs from the branches, etc. So really straightforward stuff, but actually it just takes out another step of passing information between each other, and it will be possible to build those automations into a kind of workflow. The other piece of work that we're on with at the moment is optimization for street services, looking at making sure that SmartSuite functions if you're actually working on a street service layer as opposed to a point layer within waste, making sure all the reports make sense and are understandable in all the dimensions. Looking at maps and mapping updates for the solution. And then we're looking at a couple of integration projects. One is on telematics, where we're working with one client looking at just integrating a simple telematics on street cleansing for brushes up, brushes down. We're also looking at spray on, spray off, and creating databases behind there within SmartSuite, so you can respond to insurance claims. For example, if someone has claimed to had an accident as a response to a street not being swept, etc. And we're also doing the integration for RouteSmart Online, which more at a future date. As you'll see, then we've got other pieces of work here that are built over the next sort of few quarters. Trade waste, and importantly, route sharing, the ability to share a route. If you've got a breakdown, then how do we actually replace that vehicle with a replacement vehicle, but also replacing it with the outstanding data that the first vehicle was holding within SmartSuite. So, what are all the reports that have gone so far? What are the pieces of work that have been completed or incomplete, etc. You'll see there in Q1 of 2024 the integrations with third party, and you'll see that's a theme throughout our roadmap is integrations with third parties as required, and we're kind of open just to developing those integrations as we go through this process. In the second quarter of next year, we're talking about A to B routing, which is basically getting from any point in the route to another point through A to B routing. Some reporting, advanced querying, so asking some really clever questions. Show me every property that has had more than 3 non-presents in the last X weeks, that kind of advanced querying. The ability to put photos onto reports, to run vehicle surveys, and again, you see integrations. In Q3 and 4 of next year, we're focusing on route editing. I mentioned earlier on about the interesting interactions with RouteSmart and the fact that RouteSmart is changing, where we're looking at actually introducing more of the route editing element that is currently within RouteSmart within SmartSuite, so the ability to change routes, the days of collection that a property is on, and also incorporating RAS, which many of you will have heard us talking before, but RAS enables us to do some of that low density routing, rapid low density routing. Things like bulky waste or bin deliveries would be a perfect example. And then over into 2025, we're looking at an iOS mobile version and integrations with third parties as required, as we mentioned earlier on, and new functionality as requested by clients. So you've got an idea of where we're going. We're also, in terms of today, we're not talking about our trade waste system, although we will have a future webinar looking specifically at the launch of our SmartSuite trade waste module. But our trade waste module is well through its development and actually will hold all of those kind of standard requirements for running a trade waste service. I wanted just to touch on finally, before I hand over to Nathan, on the fact that we're looking in quite detail about who will benefit within the authority, within which department, who will benefit from SmartSuite and how will they benefit. So we do have a detailed document that we've pulled together looking at each of these sort of service areas, who will get what out of an investment in SmartSuite. And here you've got an example here of SmartSuite benefits for the services, the operations or transport managers, and you'll see some of those sort of benefits that they would gain. And then I've got another one here looking at the benefits that the public would gain from the authority buying SmartSuite and using SmartSuite in anger. These slides will be circulated and made available, and also that wider document looking at the beneficiaries I'll circulate. Nathan, thanks very much for being patient. I'm just going to ask you if you wouldn't mind just by starting us by showing us the SmartSuite mobile So SmartSuite is divided into mobile, the in-cab, and SmartSuite web. If you wouldn't mind just taking us through SmartSuite mobile, just showing us some of the interface and its features, if you would please, that would be great.
Sure. So this is the sort of home screen, I suppose, of SmartSuite mobile. It's a map screen like you would a sat nav or Google Maps, and with it being an Android device, you can pinch and pan with your fingers and also rotate where necessary. We also have the option to tilt. If we press this compass icon in the top right corner, it'll realign you and to face north. I'll just let you know quickly, these orange pins you should be able to see are points of interest. So we upload facilities, depots, and other points of interest, such as maybe public toilets or schools or tasty sandwich shops, that kind of thing, for the reference of the operatives. And when the A to B routing is introduced, it'll be a simple click on one of those locations and then direct me to that location. This crosshair is my current location, and whenever you move, it'll follow. I'll load a route. So you choose your service, and then any notifications that apply to the operatives within that service. So, for example, it's midwinter, somewhere far north. There's icy roads. Icy roads expected. Please take care. Is presented as a notification in reference to that service. And then we do the same for a route collection, which, if you're familiar with RouteSmart, is essentially a solution. And we have notifications for this. South depot closed, use the west depot. So if this route collection was, for example, ward-based, it's a highlight of information that belongs to that ward. And then we choose the route, and then we have a route level notification, which is to remember that there's a new estate. Remember to service it. We'll use this route. I've got a bit of old GPS data installed, and it's going to simulate the journey that we took whilst testing one day. If I zoom into the map screen a little, I've got the device right in front of me, which is why I'm fiddling like this. This is how the route will show when it's loaded. The blue lines are the streets that need to be serviced, and the blue dots are the properties. The grey lines indicate a street that's going to be used for non-productive travel. So this will only apply when you use the route guidance functionality, and it will include sort of turn-by-turn instructions to get through the route the most efficient way. So you can see now the little crosshair GPS icons moving, and we're going to turn on to this service segment here. Oh, you might have heard that. The device just read out to me the street comment, and it's also presented on screen, caution school. If I zoom to that segment and select it, you can see the note that's assigned is caution school. So it will read those out as well as present them on screen for streets as a health and safety.
Dangerous dog is at 4 Talbot Avenue.
It's also reading out to me the actions and comments that are assigned to the properties.
Would you just talk us through that, Nathan? What's the significance of the action?
So we came up with actions as a tool when an operative actually has to do something when they get to a service point. Sorry, it's been a bit jerky, I think, because the internet's under a lot of pressure. And these properties with an orange ring have an action assigned. So we've been using them for assisted collections, but also they could be used for new properties or properties that regularly get missed. And it essentially means that the operatives have to confirm that they've done that property. So
typically those are type of locations that would often get missed and might actually result in someone having to go back and return for that. So it's kind of an opportunity to say there's a potential that we could have a miscollection here. Let's identify an action that means that although we're trying to reduce the amount of interaction that the drivers and crews have with the device, it's a matter of kind of savings in the long run, is saying, okay, minimum interactivity, but actually here's one that we think is really important that you just need to note, and also tell us that you've done it.
Yeah. So when an action's conducted, you select the action button against that property, and then press. I'll wait for the screen to load properly. So yeah, it shows you that service location on the map. You can check it out, and then it just tells you the action. Confirm action, and then it turns grey to confirm that it's been done. When a street is fully traversed, so I'll just press play again, it will turn grey. So as the GPS is ticked off for each segment, the streets are then marked complete. So this street, it's gone grey, it's all been serviced, all the properties have been serviced. You can see the action symbology still remains for a couple of properties. So either that means they weren't actioned, or the operators didn't have time to stop and confirm the actions.
Just to say, Nathan, then you can actually you can interact with locations once you've passed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do any of the reporting or actions in retrospect. So you can pull over and deal with the previous street, or you could deal with the upcoming street in advance. The orange text at the bottom there, you can see, well, the white text on the orange bar, that's your turn-by-turn instruction for the next bit of the service. That the street is highlighted in orange. If we have a look at comments, so the comments that you create in RouteSmart or SmartSuite Web, which we'll get to later, they are presented with these little sort of beach ball rubber ring things, red and yellow. And when you select the property, it'll show you the comment that's assigned, dangerous dog in this instance. And the same applies with the streets. As I mentioned earlier, they'll have a comment assigned if they are highlighted with red and yellow dashes. Just press the button. I didn't mean to then. Reverse required. Lots of health and safety stuff. And as you reach those streets, it will read them out. And as you pass those properties, it will read out the comments for them as well.
Nathan, Andrew's asked the question. Good question on single-sided collections. So how can we see that a single-sided collection's been done one side but not the other?
So this very street that we're on here with the dashed blue and grey, that is a single-sided street. And if you travel in one direction, it will change to dashed. And if you travel back the other way, it'll turn fully grey. There's another example up here. So this street, that's got two arrows pointing in each direction, and that means it needs to be travelled both ways. And then if we were to, for example, do a report, we can report against one side of that street. I'll talk through reports properly in a moment. I'm just, for the sake of argument, that's what a street would look like if half of it's serviced.
So we've got one half of the street turned grey, the other half is obviously still work to do. Okay, I hope that answers that question, Andrew.
Yeah. So we can go into reporting. So if, for example, a street is inaccessible, but the residents knew that they weren't going to be able, the bin truck wasn't going to be able to make it down the street that day, and they brought all their bins to the end. So you were able to service the street, but you weren't able to travel the street. You have the option to make a report against it and confirm the completion. So you'd select the street, you'd press report, you'd choose the obstruction, the report, based on a set of reports you create in the back office. I will say parked cars for this example. You'd select report and serviced, and then you'd select all the properties that you were able to service, which we'll say was all of them today, and click override serviced. The whole street is then marked with report symbology, which is the two blue lines either side, and then all of the properties and the street turn grey to confirm that they've been complete. But
sorry,
for example, I was just going to say, in the same breath, oh, we did miss one of them, we missed number 51, we can go back to that property, select report. It wasn't out, so we select the bin not out report, and we report and serviced, and then switch it off, override serviced, and then that will show as an unserviced point with a report.
Okay.
Sorry, Stu, go on.
No, I was just thinking we're all the time then building up that kind of data set, but at the end of the day as to what's still outstanding, what's not been completed at the end of the route. And with that ability to kind of to toggle on the whole street or part of the street, we're able to come up with a really granular, a very granular report on what work is still outstanding that will then go forward to whatever we want to do with it. And we've got some thoughts on what we can do with that. Those incomplete routes, whether that's through RAS or whether we generate a route or whatever. But thanks for that, Nathan. Yeah. Anything else on reporting? Just to say, have we talked about the fact that the street complete is automatic? It's probably worth just touching on that.
Yeah, as you travel the streets, I'm just going to turn her down because she might start barking instructions at me. As you travel the street, when you reach the end of a segment, it will mark it as complete, which is the example on this street here. I've got a feeling that I must have pulled over to make some reports when I was doing this original test. So yeah, here we go. It's traveling in the direction of the assigned incomplete service.
Before you were just talking about then the drivers actually being able to go back and override decisions and reports that they've made. Yeah. They realised that maybe when the loader shouted, "I've serviced 13" or number 13 wasn't presented, he's actually misheard it as 30, so he can go back and swap over 13 for 30, etc. Yeah. But then, in addition to that, within SmartSuite, and we'll look at this in a moment, there's still the ability for managers to actually override and sort of have a manager override view as well. Okay, thanks.
So as you saw there, the vehicle travelled across that segment, and then as soon as it finished on that segment, all of it was marked as complete. So this is where you can go back and mark things as incomplete if the bin wasn't out, for example. We also are able at the end of a route, so this is the route summary screen. This will present when you've done all 100% of your segments, which is, of course, not always going to be the case. But an operator can open this screen up, see the status of the route so far, and then select report incomplete segments, which allows them to go through the route segment by segment and set them to incomplete or complete based on what they were able to access and what they were able to travel or not. And when you select a particular segment, it'll highlight it on the map. If we choose a quieter one, we can select report here. For example, overhanging trees were in the way. We weren't able to access the street, but we could service the properties. So we can say report and serviced, and then we can go through here and select which properties were serviced. And then that street will then be marked as complete in one direction, apparently.
Okay, thanks, Nathan. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about was, again, we've been asked for a mix of, actually minimizing the amount of work that drivers are required to do and operatives are required to do with the device, but also there is a requirement. For example, the crews are often the eyes and ears of the authority, and they might be the first people to see fly tipping down a particular street. So it may be that you want your teams to actually use what is the ad hoc reporting tool here to actually report, say, fly tipping on a particular site, which would then send it through again to the automation to send it to the appropriate team. So it's about the quality of the local environment. But could you just show us the ad hoc reporting?
Yeah. So this yellow diamond here represents an ad hoc report we made earlier. If, for example, there's fly tipping on just off on the pavement or on a small green area or something, the operators can press and hold on that location, so it picks the actual coordinates out, and then you select the report button, and you in SmartSuite Web would prepare the ad hoc reports. But for example, on here, we'll go for fly tipping, and then you could say white goods You could get more specific with the pre-prepared reports. This is just an example of how we've been testing it. And then it'll appear on the map as another yellow diamond, and it'll be returned to SmartSuite and then processed as a job. And to highlight jobs, these orange flag that you might have seen and the orange flag in the top right corner highlight jobs. So that's a mist bin, that blue one, which all of the jobs are overdue at the moment. So we can select the job detail, and the job we've said is in progress already, but we can finish that job and it will disappear from the map. We can do the same with another job. So this job here is, I think it's a new bin maybe. Oh, it's right on the segment, which makes it quite hard to select. Graffiti removal. So it's unlikely a bin operative is going to do graffiti removal, but for the sake of this demonstration, the job is selected, and then the operators can choose a status set a status for those jobs, and then set the completion on it. If it's finished unsuccessfully or inconclusively, it can go back through the process. But we'll say finished. So that's how a job is serviced.
And jobs management sits in the background. If that team qualifies, if they've got the right skills and equipment for that job, they'll be able to receive that job, and that's up to the supervisors to actually assign those jobs to those particular teams. So things like a missed bin collection from another team from another day, but actually it's reaching the end of its kind of service level agreement point where it needs to be done today, and the supervisor might look at, okay, who's my nearest crew to that bin, and then just actually assign that job to them. So they'll pause their journey through the route that they've got, their planned work. They'll go and pick up the job, and then once the job's completed, they'll go back to the route and continue the route. Andrew's just asked us a question about collection points where the wagon may not go up the street. I suppose the answer there, Andrew, is whether it's possible to service the bins or not. We can say either the street's not been serviced, those collection points have not been serviced, or we can, if it's possible to service them, then it's without actually the vehicle accessing the street, then we can say that. So it's a case of what you really need to say. I think the point of what we've developed here is we're trying to minimize interaction by the drivers, but when they need to, there's some really clever sort of thought gone into how they can really nail down the specific problem that they want to report and what's still outstanding or what's not outstanding. Hope that answers that question. Nathan, would you take us into the back office? Just have a quick look at the back office.
Yeah, I'll quickly mention
Sure.
on mobile, there is a light mode and a dark mode. So if there is any early birds who don't like the glare of a bright white screen in the morning, they can use this dark mode. So let's go to the back office. So the landing screen for SmartSuite Web, as it's called, is a dashboard. I hope that's clear enough for everyone. I'll zoom in a little more. Where you'll see the map screen and your current vehicles, as well as recently made reports and all the vehicles that should be out against what is out, and then messaging. Any messages that have come in, they'll appear in this inbox here, and then a little weather widget to let you know how the day is, presuming you missed it on the way into the office. This is the live map screen. I've preloaded all the pages just so that we're not waiting around. And you can see the vehicle out on the map. You select the vehicle and it'll load up the route and give you an idea of the completion. So the grey, once again, highlights which points and which roads have been serviced so far. This dashed white and blue one indicates that it's single-sided and has to be travelled in both directions to be fully complete. Well, that's kind of the extent of live map. You can hover over the streets and over the properties to see further information. And that dashed blue line there is the GPS trail for the device. which you'll see for all of the vehicles that are out as you select them. We'll go to live reports. So this screen is where the reports come in and are visualized neatly and organized by severity, which allows users to, if they see critical reports come in, they can get them actioned more effectively. The idea with this is also eventually there'll be an automation process where high or critical reports become jobs that can then be assigned to the correct teams. We also have a map-based report screen called Report Browser, which allows you to see where the reports are in context of their routes and by the operators, the vehicles, and filterable by multiple entities. We've also got service history. So this is today's work. This needs a refresh. So, as you can see, we've loaded this route a few times today.
Could you go through that? The service history, those icons, Nathan, look really, yeah.
So, this will show you all the services for the day. We've chosen to look at the round day service, so that's the drop down, and that's the revision of the route collection there. And these are the routes that have been loaded so far today. Along here, we've got the number of segments that have been completed, the number of route service points that have been completed against how many there are, so 89 of 412. The number of actions that have been completed, 1 out of 24. The number of reports against streets that have been made, and the number of reports against properties that have been made. You can also see the time the route was started and the last update. So that comes every minute or so. It's very very often. And then you can scrutinize it on a segment level, so you can see which segments have been complete with the blue tick, and you can see the time at which they were serviced, as well as any reports assigned. These numbers here refer to RouteSmart unique IDs. So if we look at this one here, you can see each property on that segment and that they were all serviced, as well as the action that took place at 3:35. And then we can see the one with the report as well here. Oh, that's the street report. So that street report was made against this street lane at 3:43. And all of the time is the same for those addresses, because if you hover over it, the serviced, but it was overridden. So it wasn't a natural service. It was something that the operator had to do. When I say natural, I mean it wasn't traveled. It was a report that was made. And if we have a look at this as well, it's the same. So yeah, you can get into real detail about which properties and when. In terms of customer service, it allows you to tell them exactly when the vehicle came by their house or didn't, for that matter.
Nathan, would you be able to just have a look for us at updating a service comment on a particular, because I mentioned earlier on about the relationship with RouteSmart is kind of changing. We're taking a lot of the requirement to upload data in RouteSmart and then upload that to the in-cab device. So we're actually making that available within SmartSuite, so you can actually update things like service comments in SmartSuite. We are then, as I mentioned in the roadmap, we're also looking to actually allow the ability to change a property's route, and also we've got the involvement of RAS, where we can use RAS to develop low density routing. But could you just sort of show us that first element, Nathan, where we're wanting just to change, maybe add an assisted collection to a particular address?
Yeah, so this is the service maintenance page, and this is where you'll see all your new routes that you've uploaded. There's a few settings you can change in here, including adding your notifications. But you'd select a route from your list, and then it'll present on screen. If you could select the properties with a circle have a comment against them or an action. The streets with the yellow highlight have a comment. If we select a property with an action, the list will, well, if you select any property or any street, the list will appear on the right hand side. You can add a street route segment comment here. Just to give you an explanation here, route segment comments apply to the route, road segment comments apply to the road. So if you want to put traffic calming, that's probably a road segment comment because it will always have a speed bump there. A route segment comment might be, it might only be applicable to one of your collection services because the vehicle's too big. It will have to reverse down that road. So it might say reverse required, whereas on other services, the vehicles are okay. They'll be able to turn around at the end. So you could add a route segment comment here. And then with the properties, I'll select property, you get them all listed. This one here has an action, a route segment, a route service point comment, and it's not got a service point comment, but the route service point comment again might only apply to the route. So it's a recycling collection. It has 2 recycling bins. Let's make a note so that they know that. It doesn't have 2 refuse bins, so it doesn't need that comment against the refuse service. Mm-hmm. And then the assisted collection here is down as an action. It's a very simple matter of populating and then submitting to create a new assisted collection. And with one reload of the application on the device, that new assisted collection will show. We've got another question.
We have from Adam, in rural areas where the collection point is several hundred meters. Okay, Adam's really talking about, can we set up a collection point that's maybe a collection point, but it's not a house address? And the answer to that is yes, we can.
Yeah, I guess there's a few ways around that. It also depends on how you use the solvers. I think in RouteSmart, it's more of a data management issue, I think, than
it is. How you use I know the answer. The answer, there's a few workarounds to that, Adam, but the answer is yes, we can do that, or you can do that.
Blanket response. I feel like we're running out of time, Stu.
Yes, we are. Any other questions from anyone? Anything, Nathan, in 3 minutes that you want to show us?
I was just going to tell you about the jobs assignment page. So if you've got jobs to assign, you create them in here. You'd click add. You'd drop a pin on the map to show where it is. You'd choose your job type. You create your job types in the settings area, but we'll just use this for the sake of argument. You select a target completion deadline, which is right now.
Well, that would be in line with your service level agreement, wouldn't it? So that
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can set it to an operator or a tag. A tag, it will go to multiple operators. And if you set none, it's for assignment later. And then you just click add. And it will show on the map as a pin. And it will also be assigned to the operator. There's a lot more we can do with jobs, including ensuring operatives have the correct qualifications to do particular jobs, and training. We can also schedule jobs, so regular things that are happening. They're the key ones.
And also bringing in jobs automatically through automations. So the job, as I've mentioned earlier on about overhanging branches, as a job would be then generated by the report the driver made about overhanging branches, etc. Nathan, thanks very much. We've got 1 minute to wrap up here, so thanks very much for that. I just wanted to finish off with this slide, just a little bit about ourselves, summary of benefits of working with us. Hopefully, we'll work together in the future sometime. But just to say that we're keen to innovate, and to quote Alan Padgett, our CEO, integrated skills is employee owned. Expect high quality service and customer support from our committed and creative team who enjoy finding ways to add value for our clients. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. we're out of time. We will be running follow-up webinars, and we will be doing one specifically looking at trade, but look forward to discussing anything that you've seen in SmartSuite that has generated some interest. Thanks very much, Nathan, for the demo, and thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and bye-bye for now.